Well, hello there. It is great to see you again, and welcome back to the latest installment of Wealth Insights with Mitch Silberman, strategies for pursuing an amazing life of significance. I am your host and moderator, Ryan Ruff, and as always, we have the star of our show in Mr. Mitch Silberman of Silberman Wealth Strategies joining us for another wealth management related discussion, because that's what we do here on the show. We're taking the same strategies and conversations that Mitch is having with his clients, and we're bringing them right here to you on this podcast. Now, that being said, we've tackled a lot of different wealth management strategies in prior episodes, and many of which have had, the family focus. Mitch does work with a lot of families, wealthy families, successful family business owners. And today we're going to stay with that vein. Today what we're doing is we're diving into these 5 critical mistakes that successful family businesses are making. Now, I want to keep in mind that optimal word, successful. Mitch works with successful family business owners. So, of course, they've achieved a level of success, but maybe they're making one little mistake that's holding them back from that life of significance that we talk so much about on this show. Well, today we're going to identify what some of these mistakes are and, of course, how to mitigate them and move around them rather than moving through them. So that being said, let's go ahead and bring Mitch on and get today's conversation rolling. Mitch, good to see you. How you doing today?
Great to see you, Ryan. Always love when we get together and try to help our audience make a better life for themselves.
Absolutely. And today we've got a really good one. We're sticking with that, that notion of family businesses. You work really heavily with them over at Silberman Wealth Strategies. Really what we're doing here today is we're acknowledging, Mitch, that look, running a family business, it takes a lot of working hard and then, of course, working smart. But as you and I have chatted with families, there's always the family dynamic along the way. And that can be, tough and sticky. And, you got to work through it as a unit together. So we're going to get into what some of these mistakes are that are holding back those families. But before we get into the specific mistakes themselves, I think it's worth framing it up from a high level overview, Mitch. Here's kind of my first question for you today. When it comes to dealing with a family business, Mitch, I would imagine the need for wealth planning as a whole is extraordinary in many cases. Could you just speak to that need for wealth planning when it comes to family businesses in the first place?
Well, I have such admiration for small business owners. The family business is really the backbone of the American economy. It's created so much wealth and opportunity and employees, employment, and growth. People think, when you think of the American economy, you think of big businesses like Microsoft or Apple or AT&T or Coca-Cola. But the truth is, most people work for a small or to medium-sized family business. That's the backbone of our economy. I have such admiration for people who start and run their own business, especially the family business. What a gift. And so the business, if run well, becomes very successful, and that creates wealth. And that also creates opportunity and also creates some challenges. So what I love to do is work with the family business, not just on advising them on the business. They're experts in that. They don't need my help on running the business. They're already very successful doing that. But there's certain dynamics that come into play, like taking chips off the table, making sure that all of your wealth is not tied up in this one business. How do you interact with family members? How do you share the wealth? How do you make the business last for a long time? How do you keep it going? There's so much involved, and it's actually a lot of fun, very challenging, but very gratifying work, which people really benefit from.
Yeah, no, I mean, the need for wealth planning is massive, really, when operating with a family business. And I know it's such rewarding work that you do enjoy on a regular basis. It comes through just in your way you talk about what you do, Mitch. But I would imagine, though, within a family business, I mean, there are a lot of moving parts, right? So, and they all need to work together. So, given all those moving parts, I would imagine, and it's probably safe to say, that the risk for mistakes pops up. Am I correct in saying that?
Oh yeah, there's tremendous risk, and again, there's different types of risk, Ryan. There's the risk of the business, and the business owner, the family runs that business. They know it well. But there's a different issue with, hey, this business has paid for our colleges and paid for our houses and our vacations, and we're bringing younger generations into the business. How do you advise on the vitality of that business maintaining and growing? And the risks are there. There are a lot of landmines. And I often say, if I'm going to invite you to my house for dinner, and I know there's a pothole in the road, wouldn't it be nice if I told you in advance, hey, there's a pothole in the road? Well, there's a lot of potholes in the road when it comes to running a family business. Not the expertise you have in that industry, but in terms of the wealth, keeping it, distributing it, minimizing taxes. One of the key things, of course, is bringing in a team of experts. And in fact, I want to share one more concept. I'm a registered investment advisor. I've owned this wealth management firm for 29 years. Let's say you have a small business worth $20 million. First of all, congrats. That's fantastic. Maybe it's too low, maybe it's too high, but I'm just going to use 20 million. And what I've seen, one of the risks is that so much of the what net worth is tied up in this one entity. So I'm going to turn around. I said this to a business owner many years ago. I said, if you came to me with $20 million cash, and I said, we're going to invest it all in XYZ company, all of it, would you do it? And he said, of course not. That's crazy. I said, well, you're kind of doing that now. So it doesn't mean sell the business, doesn't mean you're taking undue risk. It just means that we need to understand there's inherent risk in having all of your net worth tied up in one entity or one business.
No, that's it's great to mention, Mitch. And so, given this idea of mistakes that can be apparent for family businesses, and again, we're talking about successful family businesses, but still, mistakes can pop up. There's that risk that's always there. And today, what we're doing, of course, we're about to unpack those five critical ones that you see popping up more so than others. But hey, by acknowledging them, we can start the method of working around them rather than through them. Mitch, let's get into the first one. I would imagine that family business owners, the decision makers, really they're looking to work with the right wealth manager, right, to get that wealth plan started. So, Mitch, what would you say that tells them that a wealth planner, a wealth manager is really the right fit for them?
Correct. I would say there is no single person on the planet that has all the necessary knowledge that you're going to need to help you navigate your business to further generations and future wealth. So one of the keys is if you're hiring a wealth manager, is there a team approach? In other words, what I've seen is a lot of experts. We all know you have to have a great tax professional. I used to be a CPA. I'm a recovering CPA now. You have to have an attorney, many kinds of attorneys. You also need property and casualty insurance, and you need a wealth manager. But the key is they all have to work together on your behalf. This collaborative approach is what is so crucial. And what I find is some family business owners will hire great experts, but they operate in a silo. And you really can't do that. So someone has to be the quarterback. I like being the quarterback. It doesn't have to be me. My ego can let it go. It's no big deal. But someone has to make sure that all the experts are collaborating on your behalf to make sure you're getting all the top-notch advice you need to protect and preserve and grow your business.
Roger that. So, first critical mistake really that, you see, Mitch, is that idea of somebody maybe working with the wrong wealth manager that doesn't have that collaborative team working for them and catering their strategies and solutions based on the personal needs. I mean, we talk about that idea of the human element so much, Mitch, and boy, does that come into play here in this first mistake in terms of making sure that you're working with the right team of professionals around you. Mitch,
it's not just that,
yeah.
Ryan. I want one more thing I want to interject about the right wealth manager, since you brought that up as a potential key mistake. Several years ago, I happened to be good friends with my attorney. He's my external corporate attorney. He's fantastic. And he called me up and he said, hey, I have a client of mine, his client, that would like to speak with you. And I said, that's great. Tell me the situation. And to the point you just brought up, they were successful business owners. The business was worth many, many millions of dollars. They were getting ready to make a sale. And what I learned was they already had an advisor for many years. And I said, well, then why do they want to talk to me? And the client said to my attorney, we trust our guy with a few $100,000. We don't know if we trust him with 20 million. Mr. Attorney, our attorney, who do you know? What wealth advisor do you know that we can entrust that kind of money with? So that's something else to think about as well.
Yeah, no, a great point. Thanks for that color there, Mitch. So let's shift into the next, critical mistake that you're seeing, these successful family businesses making when it comes to maybe an over focus, if you will, on a particular topic. What do you have here for us?
Would that be taxes?
I think so.
You know, I'm very focused on taxes given my background. I passed the CPA exam in 1986, so it is a good focus. I don't do tax returns. I work really well with tax professionals, but I look at taxes as the tail that's wagging the dog. The most important thing is, your family business, your wealth, the continuity, making sure everyone works well together, preserving that business, growing that business. taxes are crucial, but we want to make sure that there's not an over focus on taxes, because sometimes you can make a bad investment decision or a bad business decision because you're too focused on the taxes. So again, going back to my first point, make sure the team is involved. What can we do within the confines of the law to mitigate taxes, eliminate taxes, reduce taxes? But again, let's keep the main thing. And that is an important element, but not the key element.
Sure, absolutely. So let's shift gears now to our third, wealth planning mistake that you're seeing, successful family businesses making, and it's one worth chatting about. This is really one of those mistakes that brings into light, that family dynamic that we mentioned. Mitch, what are you seeing on this front?
Yeah, the family dynamic is very real, very powerful, and it's a great vehicle for a family to maintain continuity. And you have to take into account something I really focus on, which is the human element. So if you have many children, are they all involved with the business? Is one more involved than the other? Does one want to take it over and another one does not? How do you distribute the wealth? So the family dynamic is really important. There has to be family meetings, maybe even a family constitution, because the business is such an important component of the family. And you never want to lose sight that the family members, everyone's different. Everyone has their own way to participate. And sometimes unintentionally, feelings get hurt or relationships get severed because the family dynamic wasn't taken into account as much as the success of the businesses.
Yeah, Mitch, I'm glad you brought up the family constitution. I mean, that family harmony is so important when it comes to family wealth and a successful family business. And this idea of not having that open communication or being really secretive even about the wealth planning, boy, can that lead to some detrimental things down the road for family businesses. So I'm glad you brought that up because, boy, that is a mistake that I know you've been seeing with some of the family businesses that you work with or just even hear about. Mitch, I want to move into maybe a fourth, kind of my sixth question, if you will, to you. What's another big mistake, kind of a fourth one that you're seeing these families make? We talk a lot about accurate, up to date plans. I think this might have something to do with that.
Sure. You mentioned a key word before, which is secretive, and I
Mm-hmm.
understand. But the problem is, if you have adult children that are coming into the business or helping run the business, the more open communication you have, the better. So I
Sure.
understand, especially the older generation, keeping things themselves, but it's important to communicate. And in terms of wealth planning up to date, yes, very, very important. Uh, Things change, the world change, businesses change, economies change, wealth strategies change. If you say, well, hey, I have a wealth advisor, okay, how often do you meet with him or her? How often has your plan been updated? Have you taken into account some of the new rules? What about IRS regulations that have changed? What about congressional laws that have been passed that could help or hinder the family growth or the family wealth? So it's not a set and done. It can't be one and done. Yeah, we did that a long time ago. It's like, well, that's like saying I had a checkup on my health 7 years ago. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, okay, but should be done annually at least. Same with your wealth planning. Is it up to date? Are you taking advantage of all that's available to you?
Yeah, I mean, just think about the last few years that we've all experienced together. We've gone through a lot of change, a lot of uncertainty, and Mitch, you and I have spoke to that in prior episodes. I mean, that need for keeping your plan updated, given not only internal changes, maybe with your family, but of course external changes that are happening out there as well. But Mitch, before we move on to our the fifth and final mistake that you're seeing, what would you say families should do then if they're in a situation where they're like, hey, my plan might be a little outdated. I should do something about it. What would you say they should do?
The easiest fix is getting a second opinion. We all know that in medical terms. If unfortunately you get a very bad diagnosis, oftentimes you want to get a second opinion. If the doctor says or the physician says you should do this procedure, it's common sense to say I would like a second opinion. So is your wealth planning up to date? Are you taking advantage of all the new ideas that are out there that can help you? Get a second opinion. Or you can even start with your current advisor and just say, hey, is everything you have in store for me, is it all up to date? Is anything I should be doing? But really, the advisor should be proactive in bringing that to you. So if you're not sure, And I'm not talking the emotional part. Oh, I love my advisor. That's great. But we're not talking about, do you love or hate this person? That's not the issue. The issue is, are you getting all the top-notch advice that's available to you? And to me, the easiest thing to do is get a second opinion. And two outcomes there. One outcome is, hey, you're in great shape. I'm glad I got the second opinion. Of course, the other outcome is, I found some holes in your plan, and I found some things that really need to be attended to and brought to your attention. And then it's also a good thing that you got that second opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, Mitch. So four big mistakes so far, Mitch. Let's roll into the fifth and final one here to round out today's show. What is this final mistake that you're seeing successful family businesses make?
Well, not all family businesses want to be sold, but I find that that's usually something that comes to pass. And something that I've seen personally is a family has decided it's time to cash out. We do want to sell the business. Then you have to bring in a business broker or an investment banker or someone of that sort. But I learned something that I didn't anticipate, which is I saw a situation where a client had a great family business, decided it was time to cash out and exit, and at the last minute changed their mind. And the other advisors, the attorney and accountant, said, look, I assure you, all the documents are in order. You're getting top dollar. What is the issue here? And the issue from the client point of view, from the business owner, which is all that matters, it's all about you, it's all about them, is I've had this business for however many years or decades. It provided for me, it provided for my family, it provided a great lifestyle. I had something to do all the time. If I sell this business, number one, what am I going to do with my time? And number two, who am I going to give this lump sum to that I can count on will be there for me? Is it enough? Will it run out? What jeopardy? I don't know how to manage money. I don't know, so it was an interesting dynamic that it was not, I want more money for this business, but what do I do with this lump sum? Who can I trust with it? How long will it last? Will it provide for the same lifestyle that I'm accustomed to? So again, right advisors, right team, proper planning. That's how you overcome that type of a situation.
Oh, Mitch, no, that's a really good one because I can imagine. I mean, think about it: the blood, sweat, and tears, proverbially, that go into developing a family business, maintaining it over like you mentioned, decades, maybe even generations. To approach a moment where you say goodbye to what could be a child to you. Really, your business is your baby. To say goodbye to that has got to be a tough thing, so you want to make sure you've got that right team of experts around you to help you through that process and understand that it's not a failure. This can be can open doors for you on the on the backside of this sale. So Mitch, I love these. I love this conversation today. I mean, we're talking about successful family businesses, people that have achieved a level of success. They're maintaining a great lifestyle for them, but there's just this one thing that's still standing in their way from that life of significance that we chat so much about. And so, just a quick recap to review those five. First being working with the right team of advisors, the right team, your wealth manager and their trusted network around them to make sure that all those solutions are catered towards you. That second one, really important that there's not an over focus in one specific area. Mitch, you mentioned tax mitigation. We don't want that over focus in that given area. The third, really this idea of being maybe secretive or not keeping an open dialogue, within the big decision makers at the table here within a family business. Then that fourth of course, making sure your plans are up, always up to date. We talk about that all the time on this show. And then finally, this idea of viewing the sale of a family business as a positive moment. There's great things that can come from this. It just takes the right conversations and the right strategies on the back end. Mitch, I love this conversation. Any final thoughts from you today, just in terms of your work with family businesses, these types of mistakes, and just anything that you might like to leave our audience with today?
Well, it goes back to how I approach things. I've often told my clients, there's no such thing as a financial planning emergency. Most emergencies arise from a lack of financial planning. And even the sale of a business, we talked about don't be over focused on taxes. But I'll tell you what, if you know you're going to sell your business in the foreseeable future, start planning now with your tax professional, with your advisor. There are ways you can really mitigate the tax bite on that. Every situation is different, but what you don't want to do is say, okay, I'm selling the business, and your advisor say, had I known, we would have put other things in place so that you wouldn't get hit so hard with taxes. So there's so many exciting strategies available. I think the most important thing is surround yourself with the right team of experts, meet regularly, and have a plan. And just know that there's an exciting adventure waiting for you so you and your family can have an amazing life of significance.
Well, Mitch, anybody on that path to an amazing life of significance, they want to make sure they're having concrete discussions with their wealth manager. And let's say somebody out there in our audience, they're hearing today's conversation. Maybe they're a family business owner themselves and they want a concrete conversation with a wealth manager, like yourself. What would you say would be the best method of somebody reaching out to you and your team to just open up a dialogue and chat through some of the, circumstances they're facing?
You can shoot me an email, mitch@silbermanwealth.com. You can visit my site, silbermanwealth.com. That's B as in billion. And listen, I have a 5-step personal CFO process, which mirrors a lot of what you see in your business. And our first step is a discovery meeting, which we don't charge. I made a decision a long time ago. I wasn't going to charge someone to find out if I can help you. And just imagine I say, well, I can't help you, but here's my bill. So reach out to me. I love these topics. I love to help people. One of the reasons I was put on the planet is to do what I'm doing right now. I'm very blessed. And reach out to me. We'll have a discussion. Make sure you're on the right track. And if you are, then that's fantastic. And if you're not, if we can help, we'll discuss if we're a good fit for each other.
Oh, fantastic, Mitch. Well, look, hey, I know you're a busy guy. You've got a business to run. We will let you get back to that, but we appreciate you carving some time out to be with us today.
Always my pleasure.
Awesome. Well, hey, thank you, Mitch, and thank you to our audience one final time for jumping aboard and being with us on Wealth Insights today. If you took anything away from the show, be sure to, leave a comment, subscribe to the show on the platform of your choice, and then, of course, share this information with friends, family, business owners, anybody that you think would benefit from these types of conversations, because I mentioned it at the beginning of the show. I'll mention it again. We're taking those same strategies and solutions and ultimately just conversations that Mitch is having with his clients on a regular basis, and we're bringing them right here to you on this show. So with that being said, for Mitch Silberman, I'm Ryan Ruff. We're going to go ahead and say so long, but we will see you next time on Wealth Insights with Mitch Silberman.